Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a report all about digital marketing automation. We're going to see how agencies can seriously transform their workflows, get way more efficient, and maybe most importantly, get back the time to focus on what really moves the needle: strategy and creativity.
All right, let's just get right to it with a question that I bet it's pretty close to home for anyone in the marketing game. You ever have that feeling that you're spending more of your day compiling reports than actually, thinking? Well, if that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down how to fix that.
You know that feeling of being stuck on a treadmill, just going through the motions? It actually has a name: the digital agency grind. And it's a very real set of challenges that, as this report points out, can totally kill growth and burn out even the best teams out there.
These pain points, they all feed into each other, creating this vicious cycle, right? You don't have time to learn the cool new tech because you're totally buried in these repetitive tasks. All that manual work eats up your resources, which then makes your team collaboration a mess. And the result? You end up being slow to respond to clients, slow to create content, and you always feel like you're playing catch-up.
Now, to really see the impact here, just look at this number. Automation can slash report creation time by 90%. Now, that is not a typo. A daily 2-hour chore becomes a 10-minute task. This isn't just a small bump in efficiency, it's a total game changer. I mean, seriously, just imagine what your team could do with almost 2 extra hours every single day.
Okay, so how do you actually make this happen? The report lays out a whole toolkit of really powerful technologies, but, and I think this is so important, it doesn't just sell you the dream. It also gets real about the limitations, the catches you absolutely need to know about.
First up, we've got something called robotic process automation, or RPA. Think of tools like NNN. They let you connect over 400 different services with a simple drag-and-drop builder. No coding needed. The power here is just undeniable. The caveat, though, those connections run on what are called API calls. And as you start to use it more and more, those costs can climb up really fast. It's powerful, but it's definitely not free.
Next up, of course, is AI. It's a fantastic assistant for getting first drafts of content done. Ad copy, blog posts, you name it. But the key thing to remember is that it's an assistant. It's not the author. Without an expert human to review it, the output can be kind of generic or even just wrong. You still absolutely need a person for that final polish, for originality, and for that all-important brand voice.
And finally, for agencies that want to build a really robust custom system, there's something called microservice architecture. The beauty of this approach is how resilient it is. It's kind of like a ship with watertight compartments. If one part gets a leak, it doesn't sink the whole vessel. The trade-off for all that power and flexibility, though, is complexity. Building and testing this way takes a lot more technical know-how.
So, knowing the tools is one thing, but how do you actually put them to work without creating total chaos? Well, the report lays out a super clear, actionable playbook for a successful rollout. It's not about just flipping a switch one day. It's about a strategic journey.
The secret is to follow a plan, not just dive in. You start with analysis, find those really repetitive, time-sucking tasks that could give you the biggest return. That's your target. Then you move on to the core build and pick your platforms, choosing the right tools for that specific job. But honestly, the most critical parts are the last two: a phased implementation so you can test and learn without breaking everything, followed by constant measurement to prove it's working and find new ways to make it even better.
And here's what that phased rollout looks like over about 6 months. You see, you don't start with the super complicated stuff. In the first couple of months, you just tackle the low-hanging fruit, automating data collection and reports. Once that's running smoothly, then in months 3 and 4, you start to layer in AI to help draft copy. And only then, in months 5 and 6, do you move on to the really advanced features like predictive analytics. You crawl, then you walk, then you run. This whole approach builds momentum and keeps the risk low.
So this brings us to the big question, right? Why go through all this trouble? Well, the payoff, according to the analysis, is huge. Let's get into the numbers. First, the headline number: efficiency. By automating those high-volume manual tasks we were talking about, the analysis projects a potential productivity gain of up to 70%. That isn't just doing things a little bit faster. It's fundamentally changing how much your team can get done, freeing them up for the creative and strategic work that actually grows the business.
And you don't have to wait for years to see that payoff either. The data shows a positive return on investment in as little as 6 months, and usually within 12. So the time and money you spend on automation starts paying you back, often within the very same year.
Now this is where it gets really transformative. Just look at the return on investment for one specific type of marketing. A standard campaign might deliver a certain result. We'll call it 1x. But when you use AI to drive really deep personalization,
The analysis shows a potential 8 times increase in that return. That's not just an improvement, it's a completely different level of performance.
This efficiency doesn't just stay inside the company, it translates directly into better results. The data shows that companies using marketing automation see, on average, a 53% higher conversion rate. Just think about that. Over half of your potential conversions could be unlocked simply by making your marketing smarter instead of just making your team work harder.
So where do you begin? The recommendation is crystal clear. Don't try to boil the ocean. Start small. Just pick 2 or 3 core workflows that are super repetitive and time-consuming and run a little proof-of-concept project. It's all about demonstrating the value and learning the ropes without taking a huge risk.
And so we'll leave you with this final thought to take away. Based on everything we've just talked about, think about your own daily grind. What is the single most frustrating, repetitive task you have to do? Because that right there, that might just be the perfect place to start your automation journey.